The glass doors of Bennett Industries reflected nothing but rain and city lights, but Amara knew better. She had learned to see him even when others couldn't. The shadow that followed her home from school. The figure that waited outside the grocery store while her mother shopped. The man who stood across the street every single night, watching their apartment window until the lights went out. Her mother told her to be brave, to ignore it, to not let fear control their lives. But today was different. Today, Amara had seen him reach for their apartment door handle while her mother was at work. Today she couldn't be brave anymore. The little girl's sneakers squeaked against the marble floor as she ran through the revolving doors of the tallest building she could find. Her pink raincoat dripped water everywhere. Her braids, carefully done by her mother that morning, were coming loose. Her brown eyes were wide with terror as she scanned the elegant lobby, searching for someone who looked important enough to help. That's when she saw him. A tall man in a navy blue suit, walking with purpose toward the elevators. He looked like he owned the place, and as it turned out, he did. Amara ran straight to him, her small hands grabbing the fabric of his expensive suit jacket. "Please," she gasped, her voice breaking. "May I stay? He is following me and my mom every day. Please, sir, please." Logan Bennett stopped mid-stride, looking down at the child clinging to him. His first instinct was to call security, to assume this was some kind of scam. Children didn't just run into corporate headquarters begging for help. But something in her eyes made him pause. "Sweetheart, where's your mother?" he asked gently, trying to pry her fingers from his jacket without frightening her more. "Working. She works at the hospital. She doesn't know I'm here. But he's out there. He's always out there." Amara turned to point at the glass doors, and Logan followed her gaze. At first he saw nothing. Just rain. Just the busy afternoon street. But then a figure moved into view. A man in a dark jacket, hood pulled up, standing completely still on the sidewalk. Not walking. Not waiting for a bus. Just standing there, staring directly at the building entrance. Logan felt a chill run down his spine. The man wasn't even trying to hide. He was making sure they saw him. "Security," Logan called out, his voice suddenly sharp. 2 guards approached immediately. "There's a man outside in a dark jacket. I need you to escort him away from the building. Now." As the guards moved toward the doors, the hooded figure turned and walked away, disappearing into the crowd of afternoon pedestrians. But Logan had seen enough. The way he moved, the deliberate positioning, the intimidation factor. This wasn't a random stranger. Amara was shaking now, her whole body trembling. Logan knelt down to her level, his voice soft. "What's your name?" "Amara." "Amara, that's a beautiful name." "I'm Logan. You did the right thing coming here. You're safe now. Can you tell me your mother's name and where she works?" "Before we continue with Amara's story, I need to ask you something important. Have you ever felt like no one believed you when you needed help the most? Have you ever watched someone you love struggle alone because they were too afraid to ask for support? If Amara's fear and courage touched your heart, please subscribe to this channel and comment below. Tell me, would you have believed a child who came to you with this plea? Your thoughts matter, and your support helps us share more stories about hope, love, and the power of choosing to believe someone who needs help. Logan led Amara to a quiet seating area in the lobby, away from the main traffic flow. He sent his assistant to get her something warm to drink and a blanket. The child was soaked through, and now that the adrenaline was fading, she looked very small and very scared. "Amara, I need you to tell me everything," Logan said, pulling up a chair to sit across from her. "Start from the beginning. When did you first notice someone following you?" The little girl wrapped her hands around the warm cup of hot chocolate that had arrived. Her voice was quiet but steady as she began to speak. "It started after school one day. About 2 months ago. Mom had just broken up with her boyfriend, Derek. He didn't like it. He kept calling and texting, but she blocked him. Then I started seeing him outside my school." Logan's jaw tightened. "Did you tell your mother?" "Yes. She said she would handle it. She told the school. She told the police. But they said he wasn't doing anything illegal. He was just standing in public places. They couldn't arrest him for that." Amara's eyes filled with tears. "But he's there every day. Every single day. And Mom is so tired. She works double shifts to pay our rent, and she comes home and pretends everything is okay, but I know she's scared too." "Where does your mother work?" "City General Hospital. She's a nurse. She's working right now. She doesn't get off until 7. Amara checked a small watch on her wrist. "She thinks I'm at my friend Destiny's house doing homework." Logan pulled out his phone. "I'm going to call your mother and let her know you're safe. Is that okay?" Amara nodded, relief flooding her face. "You believe me? You really believe me?" "I saw him, Amara. I believe you. Logan's voice was firm and reassuring. And I'm going to help you and your mother. But I need you to trust me. Can you do that? Yes. The word came out as a whisper, but it carried the weight of weeks of fear finally being acknowledged. Logan dialed the number Amara provided. A breathless voice answered after 2 rings. Hello? Is this Imani Robinson? Yes, who is this? Is Amara okay? The panic in her voice was immediate. Ms. Robinson, my name is Logan Bennett. I'm the CEO of Bennett Industries. Your daughter is safe here in my building. She came to me asking for help. She told me about someone following you both. There was a long silence on the other end. Then quietly, I'll be right there. Please don't let her out of your sight. I won't. Take your time. She's safe. Logan hung up and looked at Amara. Your mother is coming. While we wait, I want to ask you some questions about the man who's been following you. Can you describe him? Amara nodded. He's tall. Brown hair. He has a tattoo on his neck like a bird or something. He always wears dark clothes. And he has this way of standing really still like he's a statue. It's creepy. Has he ever tried to talk to you or touch you? No. He just watches. But last week he left a note on our car. It said, I'm not going anywhere. Mom cried when she read it. Logan felt a surge of anger at the man who would terrorize a woman and child this way. But he kept his voice calm. Did your mother keep the note? Yes. She has it in a folder with other things he's done. Pictures he sent. Texts from before she blocked him. She said she needs evidence. Your mother is very smart. Logan made notes on his phone. When she gets here, we're going to figure out how to keep both of you safe. I have resources, connections, and I'm not going to let this continue. Do you understand? Amara looked at him with wide, hopeful eyes. Why are you helping us? You don't even know us. Logan paused, thinking about his answer. The truth was, he didn't know why he felt so compelled to help. Maybe it was the way this brave little girl had run through his doors asking for protection. Maybe it was the image of that hooded figure standing outside, a clear threat. Or maybe it was something deeper, a need to do something meaningful with the resources he had accumulated over years of building his business empire. Because you asked, he said simply. And because it's the right thing to do. Sometimes that's reason enough. 40 minutes later, Imani Robinson rushed through the lobby doors. Logan spotted her immediately. She was a beautiful woman in her early 30s, wearing green hospital scrubs under a worn coat. Her natural hair was pulled back in a neat bun, and despite the exhaustion evident in her face, her eyes were sharp and alert as they scanned the room for her daughter. Mom? Amara jumped up and ran to her mother. Imani caught her daughter in a tight embrace, checking her over for any sign of harm. Are you okay? Are you hurt? I'm fine, Mom. I'm sorry I didn't go to Destiny's house. I just couldn't. He was following the school bus again and I got scared. Oh baby. Imani held her daughter close and Logan could see the way her shoulders shook slightly. This woman had been carrying this burden alone for too long. He approached them carefully. Ms. Robinson, I'm Logan Bennett. Would you be willing to come up to my office? We need to talk about what's been happening and how I can help. Imani looked at him, her expression wary. Mr. Bennett, I appreciate your kindness to my daughter, but I don't know you. And I don't need charity. This isn't charity, Logan said firmly. This is a man using fear to control your lives. I have resources that can help. Security personnel, legal connections, safe accommodations. And I'm offering them freely because no one should have to live the way you've been living. Imani hesitated. Logan could see the pride warring with desperation in her eyes. She was clearly a woman who had fought hard to build her life and take care of her daughter alone. Accepting help probably felt like admitting defeat. Amara tugged on her mother's hand. Please, Mom. You saw Derek. He knows we're not making it up. That seemed to be the deciding factor. Imani's shoulders sagged slightly. Okay. We'll talk. Logan led them to his private elevator, using his key card to access the executive floor. Amara held both their hands and he noticed how small and cold hers was. This child had been living in fear for months and that was unacceptable. His office was spacious, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Normally, the view filled him with pride. Today, all he could think about was the predator out there somewhere, watching and waiting. Please sit. Logan gestured to a comfortable seating area away from his desk. He wanted this to feel like a conversation, not an interrogation. He asked his assistant to bring sandwiches and fresh coffee, noticing that both Imani and Amara looked like they hadn't eaten properly in hours. Once they were settled, Logan sat across from them. Ms. Robinson, Amara told me about Derek and what's been happening. I need to hear it from you. Everything. Imani took a deep breath. Derek and I dated for about 8 months. At first he seemed wonderful. Attentive, kind, interested in Amara. But after a few months he started getting possessive. He wanted to know where I was every minute. He would show up at my work unannounced. He didn't like me spending time with my friends or family. Classic controlling behavior, Logan noted. Yes. I recognized the signs because I've worked in the emergency room long enough to see where these situations lead. So I ended it. That was 3 months ago. Imani's voice remained steady, but Logan could hear the strain underneath. He didn't take it well. The calls and texts started immediately. When I blocked him, he started showing up places. Outside Amara's school. Outside the hospital. Outside our apartment building. Did you report it to the police? Multiple times. But like Amara said, he's technically not breaking any laws. He stands in public places. He doesn't approach us. He doesn't threaten us directly. The detective I spoke with said until he does something overtly threatening, they can't help. I even tried to get a restraining order, but the judge said there wasn't enough evidence of a credible threat. Logan felt his frustration rising. So the system is just waiting for him to escalate before they'll intervene. That's exactly what it feels like. Imani's voice cracked slightly. I'm a nurse, Mr. Bennett. I help people every day. I work hard, I pay my bills, I take care of my daughter. And I'm being punished for ending a relationship that wasn't healthy. Derek has systematically taken away our sense of safety, and there's nothing I can legally do about it. Until now, Logan said firmly. You came to the right place, even if it was by accident through Amara. I want you to accept my help. I have a security team that can provide protection. I have lawyers who can build a better case for a restraining order. And I have properties where you and Amara can stay that are completely secure. Imani shook her head. Mr. Bennett, I can't possibly accept all that. I can't afford to pay you back. I'm not asking you to pay me back. I'm asking you to let me help. Let me use the resources I have to do something that actually matters. But why? Imani's eyes searched his face. You don't know us. This isn't your problem. It became my problem the moment your daughter walked through my doors asking for help. Logan leaned forward. Ms. Robinson, I've spent 15 years building a successful company. I have more money than I could spend in several lifetimes. But what's the point of having all these resources if I can't use them to help people who genuinely need it? Please, let me do this. Amara looked up at her mother. Please, Mom. I'm so tired of being scared. Imani pulled her daughter close, and Logan saw the moment she made her decision. Okay. Yes. Thank you. We accept your help. The relief in the room was palpable. Logan immediately picked up his phone and started making calls. Within an hour, he had arranged for a security detail, scheduled a meeting with his top lawyer for the next morning, and offered them a furnished apartment in a secure building he owned across town. There's a doorman 24 hours a day, Logan explained. Security cameras throughout. And I'll have my team conduct regular sweeps to ensure Derek hasn't found the location. This is too much, Imani whispered, but she was already nodding, already accepting. The exhaustion of fighting alone was written all over her face. It's not too much. It's what you both deserve. Safety. Peace. A chance to breathe. Logan looked at Amara, who had fallen asleep on the couch, her head on her mother's lap. She's incredibly brave coming here today. She's braver than I am, Imani said softly. I kept thinking I could handle it alone. That I didn't want to burden anyone or seem weak. But she saw what I couldn't. That sometimes asking for help is the strongest thing you can do. Logan felt something shift in his chest as he looked at this woman and her sleeping daughter. He had helped countless charities over the years, written large checks to important causes. But this felt different. This was immediate. Personal. Real. We'll get through this, he promised. Together. The apartment Logan provided was on the 20th floor of a beautiful building in a part of the city Imani had only driven through before. The doorman, a friendly older man named George, greeted them warmly and explained that he had been briefed on their situation. No one would get past him without proper authorization. Imani walked through the space in a daze. 2 bedrooms, both furnished with comfortable beds and clean linens. A full kitchen stocked with basic groceries. A living room with soft couches and a television. Large windows with views of the city, but high enough that no one could see in. Mom, look. Amara ran to one of the bedrooms. There's a bookshelf with books. And look, stuffed animals on the bed. Logan had thought of everything. There were age-appropriate books for Amara, art supplies, even a small selection of puzzles and games. In the main bedroom, there were fresh flowers on the dresser and quality toiletries in the bathroom. "Mr. Bennett," Imani started, but he held up a hand. "Please call me Logan. And before you thank me again, let me say that having this place sit empty serves no purpose. You're doing me a favor by using it." "That's not true, and we both know it." Imani's eyes were bright with unshed tears. "But I'm grateful. More grateful than I can express." Logan's security team arrived to sweep the apartment and install additional safety measures. The head of security, a professional woman named Patricia, sat down with Imani to discuss protocols. "We'll have someone outside the building at all times," Patricia explained. "Not obvious but present. We'll also track any attempts to locate this address. If Derek finds it somehow, we'll know immediately." "What about my work?" Imani asked. "I can't just stop going to the hospital. I have patients who depend on me." "I've spoken with the hospital administration," Logan said. "They've agreed to give you a temporary leave of absence with full pay. I'm covering the difference between your salary and what their policy allows." Imani stood up abruptly. "Logan, no. Absolutely not. You can't just pay my salary." "Why not?" Logan met her gaze steadily. "You need time to deal with this situation. To be present for Amara. To not have to worry about juggling work and safety concerns. Let me give you that time. Because it's too much. Because I don't want to be someone's charity case. Because I need to maintain some independence." Imani's voice rose slightly and she glanced at Amara, who was exploring her new bedroom, then lowered it again. "I've worked since I was 16 years old. I put myself through nursing school. I've never asked anyone for anything. I know that. I can see that in everything about you." Logan's voice was gentle. "But this situation isn't normal. This isn't you failing or giving up. This is you accepting help during a crisis so you can come out stronger on the other side. There's no shame in that." They stood facing each other, and Logan saw the internal struggle playing out in Imani's expression. Pride versus practicality. Independence versus safety. Finally she nodded. 2 months. I'll accept the leave for 2 months. By then, this situation with Derek has to be resolved one way or another. Agreed. 2 months. Logan extended his hand and they shook on it. Over the next few days, a routine emerged. Logan found himself checking in frequently, more often than necessary. He told himself it was to ensure the security measures were working, but the truth was more complicated. There was something about Imani's strength and vulnerability, her fierce protection of her daughter, her determination to maintain her dignity even while accepting help. It drew him in ways he didn't fully understand. Amara adjusted quickly to the new living situation. She loved having her own room, loved the security of knowing the doorman was downstairs, loved not looking over her shoulder constantly. She also loved Logan's visits. "Can you stay for dinner?" she asked him one evening when he stopped by to drop off some legal documents for Imani to review. Logan hesitated. He didn't want to intrude. But Amara's hopeful expression was hard to resist. "If your mother doesn't mind." Imani was cooking pasta in the kitchen, wearing a blue sweater that brought out the warmth in her brown skin. She smiled at him. "You're welcome to stay. It's the least I can do considering you've done so much for us." Dinner was surprisingly comfortable. They sat around the small dining table, and Amara talked about the books she was reading and the drawings she had made. Logan found himself relaxing in a way he rarely did. His life was usually all business dinners and networking events. This simple meal with a woman and her daughter felt more real than anything he had experienced in years. "Tell me about your work," Imani said as she served them seconds. "Amara said you own the big building downtown. What exactly does your company do?" Logan explained his business, trying to make it interesting without being boring. "We develop software solutions for healthcare systems, actually. Hospital management, patient records, scheduling systems. The goal is to make healthcare more efficient so providers like you can focus on patient care rather than paperwork." Imani's eyes lit up. "I use one of those systems at City General. It's actually pretty good, though the interface for medication tracking could be more intuitive." "Really? Tell me more." Logan pulled out his phone to take notes. "We're always looking for feedback from actual users." They spent the next hour discussing healthcare technology, with Imani providing insights from her years of nursing experience. Logan was impressed by her thoughtfulness and her clear understanding of how systems could be improved. She wasn't just a nurse, she was someone who paid attention, who cared about doing things better. Amara eventually fell asleep on the couch, and Logan carried her to her bedroom at Imani's request. He laid the little girl down gently, and she mumbled something in her sleep, reaching out to hold his hand for a moment before settling back into her pillow. When he returned to the living room, Imani had made tea. They sat on the couch, a comfortable distance between them. "She's getting attached to you," Imani said softly. "I need to make sure you understand what that means. She's been through a lot. First, her father left when she was a baby. Then Derek came into our lives and left. She doesn't need another person who's going to disappear." "I'm not going anywhere," Logan said, and he meant it. "Not until Derek is completely out of your lives and you're both safe. After that, well, I'd like to stay friends. If you'd want that." Imani studied him. "Why are you really doing all this? And please don't say it's just because it's the right thing to do. There's something more." Logan considered his words carefully. "I built my company from nothing. I worked 80-hour weeks for years. I made a lot of money. I have a nice house, expensive cars, all the trappings of success. But somewhere along the way I forgot why I was doing it all. When Amara ran up to me in that lobby, something clicked. She needed help and I could provide it. It was that simple. And now, getting to know you both, I realize my life has been missing something important. Connection. Purpose beyond profit margins." "That's a nice speech," Imani said with a small smile. "But I think there's even more to it than that." "Maybe," Logan admitted. "Maybe I'm also doing this because I'm drawn to you. To your strength and your kindness. To the way you've handled impossible circumstances with grace. To the way you're raising a brave, smart, beautiful daughter despite everything you've been through." Imani's breath caught. "Logan. I'm not asking for anything," he said quickly. "I'm just being honest. You asked why and that's part of why. But it doesn't change anything. I'll help you regardless of whether you have any feelings for me or not." They sat in silence for a moment. Then Imani spoke, her voice quiet. "I'm not ready for anything romantic. I need to focus on Amara and on getting through this situation with Derek. My judgment about men hasn't been great lately. I understand. And I respect that." Logan stood to leave. "But for the record, I think your judgment is excellent. You ended things with Derek when you recognized the warning signs. You protected your daughter. And you were smart enough to accept help when it was offered. That's not bad judgment. That's wisdom." As Logan left that night, he felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Not just for Imani and Amara's situation, but for himself. For the possibility of something real and meaningful entering his carefully constructed life. The next morning, Logan's lawyer, Richard Morrison, met with Imani to review her case against Derek. With Logan's resources backing them, they were able to compile a much stronger file. Security footage from various locations showing Derek's pattern of following them. Testimony from Amara's school about his presence. The note left on their car. Text messages Imani had saved before blocking him. "This should be enough for a restraining order," Richard said. "But I want to prepare you that even with an order, enforcement can be tricky. We need Derek to understand that if he violates it, there will be immediate consequences." "What kind of consequences?" Imani asked. "Legal ones. But also, with Mr. Bennett's permission, we have private security that can document any violations. Build an airtight case. Make sure that if Derek steps 1 foot out of line, we have everything we need to ensure he faces real punishment." The hearing for the restraining order was scheduled for the following week. In the meantime, life in the secure apartment continued. Logan visited regularly, always bringing something small. Books for Amara. Good coffee for Imani. Updates on the case. One evening he arrived to find Imani upset. She had called the hospital to check on some of her patients and learned that one of her regulars, an elderly man she had cared for during multiple stays, had passed away. "I should have been there," she said, tears streaming down her face. "He didn't have any family. I was the person he talked to. And I wasn't there when he died." Logan sat beside her on the couch, unsure what to say. "You're here protecting your daughter. That patient would have understood that." "Maybe. But it doesn't make it hurt less." Imani wiped her eyes. "I became a nurse because I wanted to help people. To be there during their most vulnerable moments. And right now I can't do that. Right now you're being the help someone needs. Amara needs you present and safe, not exhausted and afraid. That's important too." Imani leaned her head on his shoulder, a gesture that surprised both of them with its naturalness. "Thank you for saying that." They sat like that for a while, comfortable in the silence. And Logan realized that somewhere in the past 2 weeks, these two people had become essential to him. He couldn't imagine going back to his old life, to empty evenings in his big house, to relationships that were all surface and no depth. He was falling for Imani Robinson. And he had no idea what to do about it. The restraining order hearing arrived with a mix of anxiety and hope. Logan accompanied Imani to the courthouse, with Patricia and another security guard ensuring their safety. Amara stayed at the apartment with a trusted babysitter Logan had hired, someone with a background in child psychology who could help her process everything that was happening. Derek was present in the courtroom, sitting with a lawyer he had somehow afforded. Logan studied the man who had terrorized Imani and Amara. He looked ordinary. Average height, brown hair, the tattoo Amara mentioned barely visible above his collar. There was nothing obviously threatening about him, which Logan suspected was part of how he had gotten away with his behavior for so long. The hearing proceeded with testimony from Imani about Derek's pattern of behavior. Richard presented the evidence they had compiled, including security footage showing Derek outside Amara's school on 12 different occasions, outside the hospital where Imani worked, and near their old apartment building. The note left on their car was entered into evidence, along with screenshots of text messages from before Imani had blocked Derek's number. Derek's lawyer argued that his client was simply heartbroken over the breakup and had been in public spaces where he had every right to be. Existing in the same city as your ex-girlfriend is not a crime, the lawyer said smoothly. But Richard was prepared. Your Honor, this isn't about coincidentally being in the same places. This is a documented pattern of surveillance and intimidation. Mr. Derek Turner has appeared at the petitioner's workplace, her daughter's school, and near her residence with alarming frequency. His behavior has created a reasonable fear for their safety. The judge reviewed the evidence carefully. She was a middle-aged woman with a no-nonsense demeanor, and Logan found himself hoping she would see through Derek's act. Mr. Turner, the judge said, looking directly at Derek, do you have anything to say for yourself? Derek stood. Your Honor, I love Imani. I made mistakes in our relationship, I'll admit that. But I've never hurt her or her daughter. I just wanted a chance to talk to her, to apologize. I didn't realize I was scaring them. Logan watched Imani's face tighten at Derek's words. The manipulation was clear to anyone paying attention. Derek was playing the part of the regretful ex-boyfriend, hoping to garner sympathy. The judge wasn't buying it. Mr. Turner, appearing at someone's workplace and their child's school repeatedly is not an appropriate way to apologize. It's harassment. I'm granting a restraining order. You are to stay at least 500 feet away from Ms. Robinson, her daughter Amara, her residence, her workplace, and Amara's school. Any violation of this order will result in immediate arrest. Do you understand? Derek's jaw clenched, but he nodded. Yes, Your Honor. As they left the courthouse, Logan kept himself between Imani and Derek. The security team ensured they reached the car without incident. Once inside, Imani let out a shaky breath. It's done, she said. He can't come near us now. The order helps, Richard said from the front seat. But you need to remain vigilant. Orders are only effective if they're enforced, and unfortunately, Derek needs to violate it before we can take further action. Which is why the security team stays in place, Logan added. We're not taking any chances. Over the next 2 weeks, life began to feel almost normal. Derek had not violated the restraining order as far as they could tell. Amara started online schooling from the apartment, with Logan arranging for a tutor to visit 3 times a week. Imani used her time off to rest, truly rest for the first time in months. The dark circles under her eyes began to fade. She smiled more easily. Logan found excuses to visit almost daily. Sometimes he brought work with him, spreading out on the dining table while Amara did her schoolwork nearby. Imani would cook or read, occasionally offering insights on whatever Logan was working on. It felt domestic in a way that both scared and thrilled him. One Saturday afternoon, Logan arrived with a surprise. I've arranged for us to visit a private park. It's owned by a friend who's out of town. Just us. I thought Amara might like to play outside safely. Amara's face lit up. Really? Outside? Can we, Mum? Imani hesitated only briefly before nodding. That sounds wonderful. The park was beautiful, with green grass, tall trees, and a playground that looked well maintained. The security team had swept it beforehand and would remain at the perimeter. For a few hours, they could pretend they were just a normal family having a normal day. Logan pushed Amara on the swings while Imani watched from a nearby bench. The little girl's laughter was infectious, and Logan found himself laughing too. When was the last time he had done something this simple and felt this happy? Later, they spread out a picnic blanket and ate sandwiches Logan had picked up from a good deli. Amara chased butterflies, her pink dress bright against the green grass. Imani lay back on the blanket, face turned toward the sun. This is perfect, she said softly. Thank you. Logan lay beside her, careful to maintain a respectful distance. You're welcome. I mean it, Logan. Not just for today but for everything. You've given us our lives back. Derek gave you your lives back by showing his true colors, Logan corrected. I just provided resources. You did the hard part. You recognized the danger. You got out. You protected Amara. We both know it's more than resources. Imani turned her head to look at him. You've been present, consistent, kind. That matters more than money ever could. They held eye contact and Logan felt the pull between them. It would be so easy to close the distance to kiss her. But he had promised to respect her boundaries, to let her set the pace. Instead, he reached out and gently squeezed her hand. I care about you both. Very much. I know. Imani squeezed back. I care about you too. More than I expected to. But I'm still scared. Of trusting the wrong person again. Of letting someone into our lives who might leave or hurt us. That's understandable. Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere. Amara ran back to them, breathless and excited. Logan, will you teach me how to throw a baseball? There's a ball over by the playground. Logan sat up. I'd love to. Come on, let's go. As he taught Amara the basics of throwing and catching, showing her how to position her body and follow through, he caught Imani watching them with a soft expression. This, he realized, was what he had been missing. Not just romance or companionship, but being part of something bigger than himself. Being needed and valued for who he was, not what he could provide financially. That evening, as they returned to the apartment, Derek was there. Not close enough to violate the restraining order, but visible across the street, standing under a streetlight. Just standing there. Watching. Patricia immediately called the police while moving Imani and Amara quickly inside. Logan stayed in the lobby with George, watching Derek through the glass doors. The man made no move to approach, but his message was clear. The restraining order might limit his proximity, but it couldn't erase his presence. 500 feet, Logan muttered. He's counting steps, staying just outside the boundary. The police are on their way, Patricia said. But unless he crosses that line, there's nothing they can do. Logan felt helpless rage building in his chest. Derek was playing a game, testing boundaries, reminding them that he was still there. Still a threat. When the police arrived, Derek calmly walked away, staying well outside the restraining order distance. The officers took a report but confirmed what Patricia had said. He wasn't technically violating anything. Upstairs, Logan found Imani holding a shaking Amara. The little girl's earlier joy had evaporated, replaced by the familiar fear. He found us, Amara whispered. He always finds us. He got lucky, Logan said, kneeling beside them. The address isn't public, but he must have followed us somehow. We'll be more careful. Patricia is already arranging for additional security measures. But the damage was done. The illusion of safety had been shattered. That night, Amara had nightmares and Logan found himself staying over, sleeping on the couch in case they needed him. In the early morning hours, he heard Imani moving around the kitchen. He found her making tea, her hands trembling slightly. Couldn't sleep? He asked gently. Every time I close my eyes, I see him standing there. So calm. So patient. Like he has all the time in the world to wait for us to make a mistake. Imani wrapped her hands around the warm mug. I'm tired, Logan. I'm so tired of being afraid. Logan moved closer. I know. But we're going to end this. Richard is already working on documenting tonight as a violation of the spirit of the restraining order, if not the letter. We're building a case that shows Derek's ongoing pattern of intimidation. And I promise you, we will find a way to make you and Amara safe. Permanently safe. Imani looked up at him, tears on her cheeks. What if we can't? What if he never stops? Then we keep fighting. Together. Logan gently wiped away her tears. You're not alone anymore, Imani. That's what I need you to understand. Whatever it takes, however long it takes, I'm here. She stepped into his embrace then, and Logan held her while she cried out weeks of stress and fear. He stroked her back, murmured reassurances, and made silent promises to himself that he would find a way to end Derek's reign of terror over this family he had come to love. Because that's what it was, he realized. Well, he loved Amara's bravery and creativity. And he loved Imani's strength and vulnerability, her determination to provide for her daughter, her capacity for hope despite everything she had been through. The question was, what was he willing to do about it? The morning after Derek's appearance outside the building, Logan called an emergency meeting with Patricia and his legal team. They gathered in his office, a war room of sorts, with laptops and documents spread across the conference table. I want to know everything about Derek Turner, Logan said. Employment history, financial records, social connections, past addresses. Everything. I've already started, Patricia said, pulling up a file on her laptop. Derek Turner, age 32. Works as a sales manager for an electronics retail chain. Has worked there for 4 years. Average performance reviews. No criminal record. No criminal record yet, Richard corrected. But I did some digging into his past relationships. This isn't his first restraining order. Everyone's attention snapped to Richard. Explain, Logan said. 5 years ago, a woman named Candace Porter filed a restraining order against Derek in a different county. Similar pattern. They dated for 6 months, she ended it, he started showing up everywhere. The order was eventually dropped because Candace moved to another state and didn't pursue it further. So he's done this before, Logan said, his voice hard. He has a pattern of targeting women and refusing to let go. It gets worse, Patricia added. I pulled his social media history. He has multiple fake accounts that he's used to track Imani's movements. He's been screenshotting her posts, her check-ins, anything public she shared before she locked down her accounts. Imani, who had insisted on attending the meeting, looked sick. I deleted my social media months ago. But before that, I sometimes posted about work or about Amara's school events. Did I lead him right to us? You did nothing wrong, Logan said firmly. Derek's behavior is on Derek, not on you. But this information helps us. It shows obsessive behavior, premeditation. This isn't a heartbroken man making emotional mistakes. This is someone who has systematically tracked and intimidated you. The question is, what do we do with this information? Richard asked. The restraining order is already in place. We could try for a criminal stalking charge, but it's difficult to prove in court. What about a civil case? Logan suggested. Sue him for emotional distress, harassment. Hit him financially. Make continuing this behavior too expensive. Richard considered this. It's possible. But civil cases take time. Months, maybe longer. And in the meantime, Derek is still out there. Patricia cleared her throat. I have an idea, but it's somewhat unconventional. We hire a private investigator to document Derek's every move. Follow him the way he's been following Imani and Amara. Build a comprehensive record of his activities. If he's violating the restraining order in ways we haven't caught yet, we'll have proof. And if he's planning something more serious, we'll see it coming. Logan nodded slowly. I like it. Let's do it. There's one more thing, Patricia said. I reached out to Candace Porter, the woman who filed the previous restraining order. She agreed to talk to us. She's willing to testify about her experience with Derek if it helps keep another woman safe. When can we talk to her? Imani asked. This afternoon if you're available. She lives about an hour away. The drive to Candace's house was quiet. Logan drove with Patricia in the passenger seat and Imani in the back. They had left Amara with the trusted babysitter, not wanting to expose her to more disturbing information about Derek. Candace Porter lived in a small house in a suburban neighborhood. She was a woman in her late 20s with cautious eyes that suggested she had learned to be wary of the world. She invited them in and made coffee, moving with the efficiency of someone who had practiced being a good host even when uncomfortable. Thank you for agreeing to talk with us, Imani said as they settled in Candace's living room. When Patricia called and told me what was happening, I knew I had to help. Candace wrapped her hands around her coffee mug. I've lived with guilt for years, wondering if my decision to move and drop the restraining order allowed Derek to do this to someone else. This isn't your fault, Logan said. You made the best decision you could for your safety. Maybe. But I can at least try to help now. Candace took a deep breath. Derek and I met at a party. He was charming, attentive. Made me feel special. We started dating and for the first few months, everything seemed perfect. Then slowly things changed. How? Imani asked softly. Little things at first. He wanted to know where I was all the time. He would get upset if I made plans without checking with him first. He didn't like my friends and found reasons why I shouldn't spend time with them. I started making excuses for him, thinking he was just really in love with me. Imani nodded. That's exactly how it was with us too. Then one day I realized I was afraid, Candace continued. Afraid to tell him I was going out. Afraid to contradict him. Afraid of his mood swings. So I ended it. And that's when things got really scary. What did he do? Patricia asked, taking notes. He started showing up everywhere. My work, my apartment, my gym. He would just stand there watching me. Sometimes he would smile and wave like it was all normal. Other times he would look so angry that I was terrified. He sent me dozens of texts and emails every day. Some were apologetic, begging me to take him back. Others were angry, accusing me of betraying him. Did he ever threaten you directly? Logan asked. Not in words. But once I found my car tires slashed. Another time, someone broke into my apartment while I was at work and moved things around. Nothing was stolen, but everything was just slightly off. My clothes rearranged in my closet. My photos turned face down. It was like he was saying, I can get to you anytime I want. Imani's hand went to her mouth. That's terrifying. It was. I got the restraining order, but Derek was careful. He stayed just outside the boundary, just like he's doing with you now. The police couldn't help because he wasn't technically violating anything. So eventually I gave up. I moved 3 states away and changed my phone number. Started over completely. Have you had any contact with him since? Patricia asked. No. And I've been careful to keep my life private. No social media, unlisted number, the works. But I still look over my shoulder sometimes. That kind of fear doesn't just go away. They talked for another hour, with Candace providing details about Derek's patterns and behaviors. By the time they left, they had a much clearer picture of who they were dealing with. Derek Turner wasn't just an ex-boyfriend who couldn't let go. He was someone who systematically terrorized women, who found satisfaction in their fear, who believed he had the right to control their lives even after relationships ended. In the car on the way back, Imani was quiet. Logan glanced at her in the rearview mirror. Are you okay? I'm thinking about what she said. About how the fear never really goes away. What kind of life is that? Always looking over your shoulder? I don't want that for Amara. I don't want that for myself. You won't have to live that way, Logan said firmly. We're going to stop Derek. Properly stop him. No more waiting for him to violate technical rules. We're going to build a case so comprehensive that he goes to jail. And while he's there, we'll make sure he gets the psychological help he clearly needs. You sound very confident, Imani said, but there was hope in her voice. I am confident. Because I'm not going to stop until this is finished. The private investigator, a woman named Helen Blackwell, started following Derek the next day. She was a former detective with decades of experience, and Logan trusted her expertise. Within 48 hours, she had already uncovered concerning information. Derek's been visiting the area around Amara's old school, Helen reported in a phone call. Not the school itself, but the neighborhood. He's also been to City General Hospital multiple times, parking in the visitor lot and watching the entrance. He's still hunting them, Logan said grimly. Even with the restraining order. There's more. I followed him to a storage unit facility. He rented a unit there about 2 weeks ago. I couldn't see what he put inside, but he visits it every few days. A storage unit? Logan's instincts prickled. That's odd. What would he need to store? I don't know, but I don't like it. People don't rent storage units for no reason. He's planning something. Logan shared this information with Richard, who immediately petitioned the court for permission to search Derek's storage unit. It's a long shot, Richard admitted. Judges don't like to grant searches based on speculation. But given Derek's history and current behavior, we might have a chance. While they waited for the court's decision, life in the secure apartment continued. But the comfortable routine had been disrupted by Derek's appearance. Amara was more clingy, often waking up at night and climbing into bed with Imani. The little girl's nightmares had returned with a vengeance. Logan started spending more nights on the couch, just being present in case they needed him. He would work from the apartment during the day, taking calls and video meetings from the dining table. His business partners and employees adapted, and Logan realized his company didn't need him physically present every moment to function well. He had built good systems and hired good people. One evening, after Amara had finally fallen asleep, Imani joined Logan in the living room. She had changed into comfortable clothes, her hair down around her shoulders. She looked beautiful and tired and worried all at once. You don't have to keep staying over, she said softly. I know you have your own life, your own home. I want to be here, Logan replied honestly. My house is just a place I sleep. This feels more like home than anywhere I've been in years. Imani sat beside him on the couch, closer than she usually did. Logan, can I ask you something? Anything. What happens when this is over? When Derek is dealt with and we don't need your protection anymore? Do you just go back to your life and we go back to ours? Logan turned to face her fully. Is that what you want? No, Imani said quietly. But I don't want to be someone's charity project either. Or someone you helped once and feel obligated to. You're not a charity project. An obligation isn't what I feel. Logan reached out and gently cupped her face. What I feel is a lot more complicated and a lot more real. I feel it too, Imani admitted. And it scares me. Everything is so intense right now. How do I know what's real feeling and what's just crisis bonding? Time, Logan said simply. When this is over, we'll have time to figure out what we mean to each other without the pressure of the situation. But I already know that meeting you and Amara changed my life. Whether you decide you want me in your future or not, I'll always be grateful for that. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Imani leaned forward and kissed him. It was soft, tentative, a question as much as a statement. Logan kissed her back gently, not pushing, letting her set the pace. When they pulled apart, Imani smiled. I've wanted to do that for a while. Me too, Logan admitted. They didn't discuss what the kiss meant or where things were going. For now, it was enough to acknowledge the connection between them. Everything else could wait until Derek was no longer a shadow hanging over their lives. The next morning, Richard called with news. The judge approved the search of Derek's storage unit. Police are executing it today. Do you want to be there? Absolutely. Logan was already grabbing his keys. The storage facility was on the outskirts of the city, a sprawling complex of orange and white units. Police cars were already there when Logan arrived with Richard. They watched as officers cut the lock on Derek's unit and rolled up the door. What they found inside made Logan's blood run cold. The unit was filled with photographs. Hundreds of them covering the walls. Photos of Imani leaving the hospital. Photos of Amara at school. Photos of their old apartment building from every angle. There was a map with pins marking locations Imani frequented. A timeline noting her work schedule. A notebook filled with obsessive writings about their relationship and Derek's belief that Imani belonged with him. But most disturbing was a section of the unit that looked like a mock-up of a bedroom. A bed, a dresser, clothes that looked like they would fit Imani. It was like Derek had created a shrine or a prison cell, a place he imagined keeping her. This is enough, one of the officers said grimly. This shows clear intent and obsessive behavior. We're arresting Derek Turner for stalking. Logan felt sick looking at the storage unit. This was what had been going on in Derek's mind. This was the level of obsession they were dealing with. We need to tell Imani, Richard said. But carefully. This is going to be traumatic for her to see. Logan nodded. I'll tell her. And I'll make sure she understands that this is the evidence we need to put him away for a long time. Derek was arrested at his workplace that afternoon. Helen had been following him and reported the arrest in real time. He didn't resist, apparently believing his lawyers would quickly get him released. But the evidence from the storage unit was damning. Combined with Candace's testimony, the restraining order violations, and Helen's documentation of Derek's continued surveillance behavior, the prosecutor felt confident they could charge him with felony stalking. He'll likely accept a plea deal, Richard explained to Imani and Logan that evening. Rather than risk a trial where all this evidence comes out publicly. We're pushing for jail time and mandatory psychological treatment. Imani looked drained. Learning about the storage unit had shaken her badly. I can't believe he was planning all that. I knew he was obsessed, but I didn't realize it went this deep. You didn't know because you're not like him, Logan said gently. Normal people can't understand that level of obsession. But he's in custody now. He can't hurt you. For now, Imani said. But what about when he gets out? What if he's even angrier then? The plea deal we're negotiating includes a provision that when Derek is released, he'll be on probation with strict conditions. Any contact with you or Amara, any violation at all, and he goes back to prison. Plus, we're asking for long-term protective orders. Richard's voice was reassuring. And honestly, between the jail time and the mandatory therapy, there's a chance Derek will get the help he needs and move on. Or he'll just get better at hiding it, Imani said bitterly. Logan understood her fear. But he also saw an opportunity. What if you didn't have to worry about running into him? What if you started fresh somewhere Derek doesn't know about? Imani looked at him sharply. Are you suggesting we move again? I'm suggesting that when this is all settled, you have options. You could stay in the city if you want. You could move to a new area. You could even consider a different state. Whatever makes you and Amara feel safest. I don't want to run anymore, Imani said firmly. I've built a life here. I have a career I've worked hard for. Amara has friends. This is our home. Derek doesn't get to take that away from us too. Logan nodded, respecting her choice. Then we make sure you're safe here. Better security at whatever new place you choose to live. Regular check-ins with law enforcement. Whatever it takes. We've reached a crucial turning point in Imani and Amara's story. Derek is finally behind bars, but the fear he created still lingers. If you're invested in seeing how they rebuild their lives and whether love can bloom from crisis, please subscribe to this channel. Drop a comment telling me, Do you think Imani is right to stay in the city and reclaim her life, or should she start fresh somewhere new? Your support and opinions help us continue sharing stories about resilience, hope, and the power of kindness. With Derek in custody awaiting his court date, the atmosphere in the apartment shifted. The constant vigilance eased slightly, though the security measures remained in place. Imani could breathe more deeply. Amara's nightmares became less frequent, and Logan found himself welcomed more fully into their daily lives. You know you don't have to keep staying over, Imani said one morning over coffee. But there was no real insistence in her voice. The truth was they had all gotten used to having Logan around. His presence had become part of their routine, part of what made the apartment feel like home. What if I want to? Logan asked, watching Amara carefully arrange her cereal into patterns in her bowl at the table. Imani smiled. Then I guess I'm not complaining. The weeks that followed were a strange combination of waiting and healing. They were waiting for Derek's court proceedings to conclude, waiting to know exactly what consequences he would face. But they were also healing from the trauma of constant fear. And in that healing process, something beautiful began to grow between Logan and Imani. It started with small things. Logan teaching Amara how to play chess, patiently explaining strategy. Imani cooking meals that Logan praised enthusiastically, admitting that his own cooking skills were limited to ordering takeout. Movie nights where Amara would fall asleep between them on the couch, and Logan and Imani would keep watching, shoulders touching, comfortable in each other's presence. One Saturday Logan suggested an outing. There's a science museum across town that's been closed for renovations. It's reopening this weekend and I know the director. I could arrange for a private tour before the crowds arrive. Amara's eyes went wide. A whole museum just for us? Just for us, Logan confirmed. The museum was fascinating, filled with interactive exhibits about space, the human body, and natural history. Amara ran from display to display, her enthusiasm infectious. Logan and Imani followed, hand in hand, watching her joy. She's a different child than she was a month ago, Imani observed. That fear that was always in her eyes, it's finally fading. She feels safe again. That's what children need most. Logan squeezed Imani's hand. How are you feeling? Lighter, Imani admitted. Like I can finally think about the future instead of just surviving day to day. I've been looking at new apartments, places where we can make a fresh start once Derek's case is settled. Have you found anything you like? A few possibilities. There's a nice 2-bedroom in a good school district. It's a bit expensive, but I've saved some money, and with my salary from the hospital. Imani trailed off. Logan wanted to offer to help with rent, to buy her a house, to ensure she never had to worry about money again. But he bit his tongue. He knew Imani needed to maintain her independence, to feel like she was standing on her own feet. Instead he said, I'd love to see the places you're considering. Give you my opinion if you want it. I'd like that, Imani said. Later that day, after they had exhausted the museum's offerings and returned to the apartment, Amara was drawing at the table. She looked up at Logan with a serious expression. Can I ask you something? Of course. Logan sat down beside her. Are you going to be my dad? The question hung in the air. Imani, who had been in the kitchen, froze. Logan felt his heart skip. This was the question he had been both hoping for and dreading. How did he answer honestly without making promises he didn't have the right to make? Amara, he started carefully, I care about you very much. And I care about your mom very much. But whether I'm your dad, that's something we all have to figure out together over time. What I can tell you is that I'm not going anywhere. Whether I'm your dad or your very good friend, I'll always be someone you can count on. Amara considered this. Destiny's mom said you're my mom's boyfriend. Are you? Logan glanced at Imani, who had moved to stand in the kitchen doorway watching them. Yes, he said simply. I'm your mom's boyfriend. Is that okay with you? Amara nodded. I like you better than Derek. You're nice to my mom. And you listen when I talk. Derek never listened. I'll always listen to you, Logan promised. Always. That evening, after Amara was in bed, Logan and Imani talked about the conversation. They were sitting on the couch again, their usual spot, close enough to touch. I hope I answered that okay, Logan said. I didn't want to overstep. You answered it perfectly, Imani assured him. You were honest without making promises you're not ready to make. That's all I can ask. But I am ready, Logan said quietly. Ready to make promises, I mean. I know it's fast. I know we've only known each other a few months. But Imani, I've never felt about anyone the way I feel about you. And Amara, she's become like my own daughter to me. I want this. Not just for now but for the future. Imani's eyes glistened with tears. I want it too. But it's scary. Letting someone in again. Trusting that this is real and not just the situation forcing us together. So let's test it, Logan suggested. Once Derek's case is settled and you're back at work, let's date properly. No crisis, no living in each other's pockets out of necessity. Just normal dating. Dinners out, movies, getting to know each other in regular circumstances. If the feelings are still there, and I believe they will be, then we'll know it's real. That sounds perfect, Imani said and kissed him. The next few weeks fell into a comfortable pattern. Logan helped Imani look at apartments, offering opinions but being careful not to push. They found a perfect place in a safe neighborhood with good schools. The building had security, and it was far enough from Imani's old apartment that there would be no memories of Derek lurking around corners. Derek's legal proceedings concluded with a plea deal. He was sentenced to 18 months in jail for felony stalking, followed by 3 years of supervised probation. The plea deal included mandatory therapy and a permanent restraining order that would remain in effect indefinitely. If Derek violated any terms of his probation or had any contact with Imani or Amara, he would serve the remainder of his sentence plus additional time. It's not as long as I'd like, Richard admitted to Logan and Imani, but it's a solid outcome. Derek will be in the system now. He'll have a felony record. And the therapist assigned to his case is very good. There's a real chance he'll get the help he needs. Imani nodded, looking relieved. And we'll be gone when he gets out. New address, new security measures. He won't be able to find us easily. Logan put his arm around her. You're free now. Really free. The day Derek was sentenced, Logan took Imani and Amara out for a celebration dinner at a nice restaurant with a children's menu and friendly staff. They dressed up, Imani in a beautiful red dress that made Logan's heart skip, Amara in a green dress with ruffles that she loved. To new beginnings, Logan toasted with sparkling cider for Amara and wine for the adults. To new beginnings, they echoed. As they ate and laughed, Logan watched these two people who had become so important to him. Amara told jokes that weren't quite funny but made them laugh anyway. Imani relaxed in a way he had never seen before, her beauty amplified by her happiness. After dinner they walked through a nearby park. The evening was warm and the path was lit by gentle street lights. Amara ran ahead, chasing fireflies, while Logan and Imani strolled hand in hand. I start back at work next week, Imani said. I'm nervous. It's been months. You're going to be great, Logan assured her. Your patients are lucky to have you. And we move into the new apartment this weekend. That's exciting and terrifying at the same time. I'll help you move, Logan offered. I've already arranged for movers, but I'll be there too. Painting walls if needed, assembling furniture, whatever you need. Imani stopped walking and turned to face him. Logan, I need to say something. These past few months you've been incredible. You saved us, not just with money and resources, but with your kindness and your presence. You gave us safety when we desperately needed it. But more than that, you gave us hope. You showed Amara what a good man looks like. And you showed me that it's okay to trust again, to open my heart again. Imani. Logan started, but she put a finger on his lips. Let me finish. I'm falling in love with you. I might already be in love with you. And I know we said we'd wait and date properly once things were normal, but I want you to know. My feelings are real. This isn't crisis bonding or gratitude. This is real love. Logan pulled her close. I love you too. I've loved you for weeks now, maybe from the moment you walked into that lobby looking for your daughter. You're the strongest, most incredible woman I've ever met. And I want to spend the rest of my life proving that to you. They kissed as Amara chased fireflies in the distance, unaware of the moment her mother and Logan were sharing. When they pulled apart, both were smiling. So what now? Imani asked. Now we build a life together. Slowly, carefully, making sure Amara is comfortable every step of the way. No rush, but moving forward together. I like that plan, Imani said. The following Saturday moving day arrived. True to his word, Logan was there early with professional movers he had hired. Imani's belongings from her old apartment, which had been in storage, were brought to the new place along with the furniture from the temporary apartment. Logan worked alongside the movers, helping carry boxes and assemble furniture. He was in jeans and an old t-shirt, different from the suits Imani usually saw him in, and she found herself appreciating this more casual side of him. Amara was in charge of directing where her things should go in her new room. She took the job very seriously, asking the movers to move her bookshelf 3 times before deciding on the perfect spot. By evening, the new apartment was coming together. It looked like a home. Imani had chosen warm colors for the walls, comfortable furniture and plenty of natural light. There were photos on the walls, books on the shelves, and a sense of peace that had been missing from their lives for so long. "This is perfect," Imani said, looking around with satisfaction. "It really is," Logan agreed. Then more quietly, "Should I go? Let you and Amara have your first night in your new home alone?" Imani considered for a moment. "Stay for dinner. We're ordering pizza. Then we'll see how we feel." Pizza arrived, and they ate sitting on the living room floor since they hadn't set up the dining table yet. Amara talked excitedly about decorating her room and which friends from her old school she wanted to invite over once they settled in. As the evening wore on, Amara started yawning. Imani got her ready for bed, reading her a story in her new room. When she came out, she found Logan cleaning up the pizza boxes and paper plates. She fell asleep almost instantly, Imani reported. All the excitement wore her out. "It was a big day," Logan said. "A good day." They stood in the kitchen looking at each other. The tension between them was different now, charged with possibility. "Stay tonight," Imani said softly. "Not on the couch. With me." Logan crossed the distance between them. "Are you sure?" "I'm sure. I don't want our first night in this new home to be without you. You're part of our future now, Logan. Let's stop pretending otherwise." That night marked a new chapter in their relationship. Not just romance but a real commitment to building a life together. They talked late into the night, making plans and sharing dreams. They talked about Amara and what co-parenting would look like if they continued down this path. They talked about careers and homes and what happiness meant to each of them. As Logan drifted off to sleep with Imani in his arms, he thought about how much his life had changed in just a few months. He had thought he was successful before, that his company and his wealth defined him. But now he understood that real success was this: being loved by good people, having a family to protect and care for, building something meaningful that would last beyond business quarters and profit margins. He had found his home, and it wasn't a place. It was Imani and Amara. And he would spend the rest of his life making sure they knew how precious they were to him. The months following the move were transformative for everyone. Imani returned to work at City General Hospital, falling back into the rhythm of nursing with a renewed sense of purpose. Her colleagues welcomed her back warmly, and she found joy in caring for patients again, in using her skills to help people in their most vulnerable moments. Amara enrolled in a new school, a better one in their new neighborhood. The transition was rocky at first, as it is for any child changing schools mid-year. But Logan helped her with homework every evening, patient with math problems and enthusiastic about her creative writing. Within weeks, Amara had made new friends, including a girl named Destiny who lived in their building. Logan had gradually moved more of his belongings into Imani's apartment. It wasn't an official move-in, more of a natural progression. A spare suit for morning meetings. Toiletries in the bathroom. His favorite coffee in the kitchen. They were building a life together, piece by piece, moment by moment. One Saturday morning, Logan was making pancakes while Imani slept in, a rare luxury for a nurse who usually worked early shifts. Amara sat at the kitchen counter, watching him flip pancakes with mixed success. "Logan," she said thoughtfully, "can I ask you something important?" "Always," Logan said, sliding a perfectly golden pancake onto her plate. "If you and my mum get married, would you adopt me? Would I be Amara Bennett?" Logan's hand stilled on the spatula. This was not the casual question he had expected. He turned to look at the little girl, seeing the hope and vulnerability in her eyes. "Amara, that's a very big question. And a very important one." Logan came around the counter to sit beside her. "Is that something you'd want? To be adopted? To have me legally be your father?" "Yes," Amara said without hesitation. "My real dad left before I was born. I don't even know what he looks like. Mum says he wasn't ready to be a father, and that's okay. But you chose us. You decided to stay. That makes you more real than someone who's just related by blood." Logan felt his throat tighten with emotion. "That's a very wise way to think about it. But Amara, your mum and I haven't talked about marriage yet. We're taking things slow, making sure we do this right. But you love her, right? And you love me?" "Yes, absolutely yes to both. And she loves you. I can tell by the way she looks at you when you're not watching. She's happy now. We both are." Amara picked at her pancake with her fork. "So why wait? Life is short. That's what Mum always says when people at the hospital die. Life is short, so we should be happy while we can." Logan found himself smiling despite the seriousness of the conversation. "You make a good argument. But sometimes grown-ups need time to be sure about big decisions. Not because we don't love each other, but because we want to make sure we're doing what's best for everyone, especially you. I'm sure, Amara declared. I want you to be my dad. For real. With papers and everything. Then when the time is right, when your mom and I are ready to take that step, we'll talk about adoption. I promise. Is that okay? Amara nodded, satisfied with this answer. Okay. But don't wait too long. I'm not getting any younger. Logan laughed, charmed by her 8-year-old logic. I'll keep that in mind. When Imani woke up and joined them for breakfast, Logan told her about the conversation. Imani listened, her expression soft and thoughtful. She asked me about it a few weeks ago, Imani admitted. I told her it was something we might do someday, but that she shouldn't get her hopes up too high until we were sure. But Logan, I need you to understand what adoption would mean. Legally, emotionally, you'd be her father. Forever. Through everything. Even if, heaven forbid, things didn't work out between us, you'd still be her father. I understand, Logan said seriously. And I want that. I want to be her father. I already feel like I am in every way that matters. But you're right that we should be sure. We should be married first, have a solid foundation. I don't want to do this halfway. Imani reached across the table and took his hand. So we're really talking about this? About marriage and family and forever? I'm talking about it if you are, Logan replied. I know it's only been 6 months. I know that's fast by most people's standards. But I've never been more certain of anything in my life. 6 months that felt like 6 years in terms of intensity, Imani said wryly. We've been through more together than most couples face in a lifetime. That has to count for something. They sat in comfortable silence, holding hands across the breakfast table while Amara hummed to herself in the other room, already over the heavy conversation and focused on setting up her dolls for an elaborate game. I want to do this right, Logan said finally. Proper proposal, proper wedding. I want to show you and Amara that you're worth doing things the right way for. No rushing, no cutting corners. You deserve the whole beautiful experience. Imani smiled. Just so you know, I don't need a big expensive wedding. Something small with people we love would be perfect. Noted, Logan said, filing that information away. But you do deserve a proper proposal. That much I'm insisting on. Over the next few weeks, Logan began quietly planning. He wanted the proposal to be meaningful, to reflect what they meant to each other. Not a public spectacle, but something intimate and perfect. He started by asking Amara for her blessing, which felt important. One evening when Imani was working a late shift, Logan took Amara out for ice cream at her favorite shop. I need to talk to you about something serious, Logan said once they were settled at a small table with their treats. Amara's eyes widened. Are you going to ask my mom to marry you? Logan had to laugh at her perceptiveness. Yes, I am. But I wanted to ask you first if that's okay with you. It's your family too. Your opinion matters. Yes, 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 Amara bounced in her seat. I already told you I want you to be my dad. This is perfect. There's something else. I want you to help me plan the proposal. Make it special for your mom. You know her better than anyone. What do you think would make her happy? Amara considered this seriously. Mom doesn't like big fancy things. She likes meaningful things. Like, she kept this drawing I made for her when I was 5 and she was sad about breaking up with Derek. She said it reminded her that I was her reason to keep going. That's beautiful, Logan said. So something meaningful, not expensive. And it should have both of us there, Amara added. Because we're a family. All 3 of us. Logan nodded, an idea beginning to form. I think I know what to do. But I'll need your help. Together they planned the perfect proposal. Amara drew pictures and wrote a letter to her mother about what Logan meant to their family. Logan arranged for them to return to the private park where they had picnicked months ago, the place where Amara had laughed freely for the first time in months, where Imani had started to believe she could be happy again. The day of the proposal was a Saturday in early autumn. The weather was perfect, cool and clear. Logan told Imani they were going to the park for a family day, nothing unusual. Amara was in on the secret, practically vibrating with excitement. When they arrived at the park, it had been decorated simply but beautifully. White paper lanterns hung from the trees. A blanket was spread on the grass with a picnic basket. And at the center, a small easel displayed Amara's drawings and letter. What's all this? Imani asked, looking around in wonder. Mum, Amara said, taking her mother's hand and leading her to the easel. I made this for you. Will you read it? Imani sat on the blanket and read Amara's letter, tears streaming down her face as she took in her daughter's words about how Logan had made them feel safe, had made them a real family, had shown them what love and kindness looked like. When she finished reading, Logan knelt beside her. In his hand was a simple, elegant ring, nothing ostentatious, just beautiful. "Imani Robinson," Logan said, his voice steady despite the emotion he felt. "6 months ago your daughter ran into my building asking for help. She was brave and scared and desperate. And by asking for help, by trusting a stranger, she changed my entire life. You both did. You showed me what really matters. Not success or money, but love and family and being there for the people who need you." Imani was crying now, happy tears that sparkled on her cheeks. "I love you," Logan continued. "I love your strength and your compassion. I love the way you care for others and the way you've built a beautiful life for Amara despite every obstacle. I love your laugh and your stubbornness and the way you always see the best in people even when they don't deserve it. And I want to spend the rest of my life showing you how much you mean to me." He looked at Amara, who was watching with wide, excited eyes. "And Amara, I want to be your father. For real. With papers and everything like you said. If your mother says yes, I want to adopt you and give you my name if you'll have it. I want us to be a family legally and in every other way." Turning back to Imani, Logan held out the ring. "So, Imani, will you marry me? Will you let me be your husband and Amara's father? Will you build a life with me?" Imani was laughing and crying at the same time. "Yes," she said. "Yes, absolutely yes. I love you, Logan. We both do." Logan slipped the ring onto her finger and pulled her into a kiss. Amara cheered and threw herself into their embrace, creating a tangle of arms and laughter and happy tears. "We're going to be a real family," Amara said in wonder. "The Bennett family." "The Bennett family," Imani echoed, looking at Logan with so much love that he felt his heart might burst. "I like the sound of that." They spent the rest of the afternoon in the park, talking about wedding plans and life plans and all the beautiful possibilities ahead of them. They took photos together, capturing this perfect moment. And as the sun began to set, painting the sky in oranges and pinks, Logan looked at his family and felt complete in a way he never had before. This was what life was supposed to be. Not the achievement of goals or the accumulation of wealth, but these simple moments of joy with people you loved. Amara chasing fireflies again like she had months ago, but without fear this time. Imani leaning against his shoulder, relaxed and happy. The three of them together, facing a future full of hope. That evening, back at the apartment, they called Imani's mother and sister to share the news. They called Logan's parents, who were thrilled and immediately started planning a trip to meet Imani and Amara. The congratulations poured in, and Amara insisted on calling her best friend to announce that Logan was going to be her dad. Late that night, after Amara had finally fallen asleep from excitement, Logan and Imani sat together on the couch, her hand in his, the ring catching the lamplight. "I can't believe this is real," Imani whispered. 6 months ago, I was terrified and alone, trying to protect my daughter from a man who wouldn't leave us alone. And now I'm engaged to a wonderful man who loves us both and wants to build a life with us. It feels like a dream." "It's real," Logan assured her. "And it's just the beginning. We have so much ahead of us. Wedding planning, adoption proceedings, building our life together. It's all real and it's all ours." "I never thought I'd trust again," Imani admitted. "After Derek, after everything, I thought maybe I was just bad at choosing partners. But you've shown me that wasn't true. I wasn't bad at choosing. I just hadn't met the right person yet." "I'm glad you found me," Logan said. "Or rather, I'm glad Amara found me. She's pretty smart, your daughter." "Our daughter," Imani corrected with a smile. "She's going to be our daughter soon." "Our daughter," Logan repeated, loving the sound of it. They sat in peaceful silence, both processing the magnitude of the commitment they had just made. They were going to be a family, officially and permanently. The thought was both thrilling and slightly terrifying, as all big life changes are. But as Logan held Imani close and thought about the little girl sleeping peacefully in her room, he felt certain. This was right. This was where he was meant to be. With these two incredible people who had stumbled into his life asking for help and ended up giving him everything he never knew he needed. The journey from that rainy afternoon when Amara burst into his building to this moment had been intense and sometimes scary. But it had led them here, to this perfect evening, to this promise of forever. And Logan wouldn't change a single moment of it. Life settled into a happy rhythm as Logan, Imani, and Amara planned for their future. They set a wedding date for 6 months out, giving them time to prepare, but not so long that they had to wait forever to officially become a family. The adoption proceedings for Amara were underway, with a social worker conducting home visits and interviews to ensure everything was in order. Everything seemed perfect. Too perfect. And then Derek's release date arrived. Logan had marked the day on his calendar, though he hadn't mentioned it to Imani. She knew it was coming, but he could see the tension creeping back into her shoulders as the date approached. The fear that had finally left her eyes was threatening to return. He's going to leave us alone, Logan reassured her the night before Derek's release. He has probation conditions. He can't contact you. And he has no idea where you live now. I know that logically, Imani said. But there's this part of me that doesn't believe it. That thinks he'll find a way like he always did before. Then we'll deal with it. Together. You're not alone this time. The next day Derek Turner walked out of prison. Patricia, who had maintained loose surveillance through her connections, confirmed his release. He went to a halfway house as required by his probation and attended his first mandatory therapy session. Everything appeared to be going according to plan. For 2 weeks nothing happened. Life continued normally. Logan began to relax, thinking maybe Derek had learned his lesson, had gotten the help he needed, had moved on with his life. But then Patricia called with concerning news. Derek's been asking questions. Discreet ones but questions nonetheless. About where Imani works, whether she's still at City General. About Amara's new school. How is he getting information? Logan demanded. Social media mostly. Imani's accounts are locked down, but some of her co-workers aren't as careful. They post about their work lives, tag the hospital. Derek's been following them, piecing things together. Logan felt cold anger rising in his chest. What do we do? I'm already on it. I've contacted Derek's probation officer and documented his online activity. It's not technically a violation since he's not contacting Imani directly, but it shows concerning behavior. They're going to have a conversation with him about his therapy progress and whether he's actually making an effort to move forward. I want our security increased, Logan said. Double it if necessary. And Imani needs to know. She deserves to be prepared. Telling Imani was hard. Logan waited until Amara was at a friend's house for a playdate, not wanting the little girl to hear and become frightened again. He's looking for us, Imani said flatly when Logan explained the situation. It wasn't a question. He's showing interest in your general whereabouts. But he doesn't have your address. He doesn't know about us, about our engagement. And his probation officer is monitoring him closely now. Imani sat down heavily on the couch, her face pale. I was stupid to think it was over. People like Derek don't change. We don't know that yet, Logan said, sitting beside her. He's only been out 2 weeks. The therapy might still make a difference. And either way he can't get to you. Not with the security we have in place. Can't he? He always found a way before. Logan took her hands in his. Before, you were alone and trying to handle everything yourself. Now you have me. You have resources. You have a team of people making sure you're safe. It's different this time. Imani wanted to believe him. Logan could see it in her eyes. But the fear was there too, the memory of months of being stalked and terrorized. The confrontation came a week later in the most unexpected way. Logan was at City General Hospital, having brought lunch for Imani during her shift. They were eating in a small break room talking about wedding plans, when a commotion erupted in the hallway. Sir, you can't be here without checking in, a security guard's voice called out. Logan and Imani both looked up as Derek Turner appeared in the doorway of the break room. He looked different than the last time Logan had seen him at the courthouse. Thinner, harder, with an intensity in his eyes that hadn't been there before. Imani, Derek said, ignoring the security guard trying to pull him back. I need to talk to you. Imani stood, and Logan immediately moved to stand between her and Derek. You need to leave, Logan said firmly. No. You're violating your restraining order. Who are you? Derek's eyes focused on Logan for the first time, taking in his protective stance, the way Imani was standing close behind him. Understanding dawned. Oh, I see. You've moved on. Found someone with money to take care of you. Derek, leave, Imani said, her voice shaking slightly. You're going to go back to prison if you don't leave right now. I just wanted to talk. To apologize. My therapist says I need to make amends. Derek's voice took on a pleading tone, but there was something off about it, something calculated. Please, Imani. Just 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. No, Logan said firmly. The restraining order says no contact. That means no conversation. No apologies. Nothing. You need to go now. Hospital security had arrived, along with a police officer who had been on the premises for an unrelated matter. They moved to physically remove Derek from the building. This isn't over, Imani, Derek called out as they pulled him away. You can't just erase what we had. You can't just replace me. The confrontation lasted less than 3 minutes, but the impact was devastating. Imani was shaking, her breath coming in short gasps. Logan recognized the signs of a panic attack and immediately guided her to sit down, coaching her through breathing exercises. "You're safe," he repeated. "He's gone. The police have him." Medical staff came to check on Imani, their concern evident. Her supervisor insisted she go home for the rest of the day, understanding the trauma of having an ex-boyfriend violate a restraining order to show up at her workplace. Logan drove them home, one hand on the wheel and the other holding Imani's. She stared out the window, silent, processing what had just happened. At the apartment, Logan made tea while Imani called Amara's friend's mother to explain there had been an incident and she needed to pick up her daughter. Within the hour, Amara was home, immediately sensing something was wrong. "What happened?" the little girl asked, looking between her mother and Logan. "Derek came to the hospital," Imani said quietly. "But he's been arrested. He violated his probation." Amara's face went pale. "Is he going to come here?" "No, sweetheart." Logan knelt down to Amara's level. "He doesn't know where we live. And now he's back in custody. He can't hurt you or your mom." But the damage was done. The safety they had felt, the peace they had been building, had been shattered by Derek's 3-minute appearance. Patricia arrived that evening to brief them on the situation. "Derek's been arrested for violating his restraining order. Given that this is a clear violation of his probation, he's looking at serving out the rest of his original sentence plus additional time. The probation officer is recommending no early release this time." "How long?" Imani asked. "At least another 18 months, possibly longer depending on how the judge rules. And when he does get out, he'll have even stricter conditions. Electronic monitoring, more frequent check-ins, mandatory intensive therapy." "So this cycle just continues?" Imani said bitterly. "He gets out, violates the order, goes back in. Gets out again, does it again. When does it end?" "It ends when Derek makes the choice to change," Patricia said gently. "And if he doesn't make that choice, then the criminal justice system eventually gives him longer and longer sentences. Either way, you maintain your safety." After Patricia left, the apartment felt heavy with tension. Amara went to her room, unusually quiet. Logan could hear her on the phone with her friend, probably needing to talk to someone her own age about what was happening. Imani sat on the couch, staring at nothing. "I can't do this," she said finally. "I can't live my life waiting for the next time Derek gets out and comes looking for me. I can't raise Amara in constant fear." "Then we don't," Logan said firmly. "We change the situation entirely." "How?" "We can't stop him from being released eventually. We can't stop him from being obsessed." "No, but we can remove his ability to affect your daily life." Logan sat beside her, taking her hands. "What if we moved? Not just to a new apartment but to a new city entirely. My company has offices in several states. I can work from anywhere. You could transfer to a hospital in a new location, or even try something different if you wanted. Amara could start fresh at a new school. We could just disappear from Derek's world entirely." Imani looked at him, hope and fear warring in her expression. "That's a huge step. My whole life is here. My mother, my sister, my career, my friends." "I know. And if you want to stay, we stay. We make it work. But I'm offering you an option. A way to build a life where Derek Turner is just a bad memory, not an ongoing threat." "Can I think about it?" Imani asked. "Take all the time you need." That night, Logan lay awake thinking about the confrontation. He kept replaying the look in Derek's eyes, the calculated nature of his supposed apology. The man wasn't better. If anything, he was worse, more determined, more willing to risk consequences to maintain some form of control over Imani's life. The question was, what were Logan and Imani willing to do to protect their family? Stay and fight? Or start fresh somewhere Derek could never find them? As Logan finally drifted off to sleep, he knew one thing for certain. Whatever Imani decided, whatever path she chose, he would be beside her every step of the way. That was what family meant. That was what love meant. Being willing to adapt, to change, to do whatever it took to keep the people you loved safe and happy. The next morning brought clarity. Imani had made her decision. Imani's decision came over breakfast, delivered with quiet determination that Logan had come to recognize as her way of making peace with difficult choices. "I want to stay," she said, looking at both Logan and Amara. "This is our home. We found this apartment together. Amara loves her school. My career is here. And I refuse to let Derek Turner take one more thing from us. We've already given him too much power over our lives." Logan reached across the table and squeezed her hand. "Then we stay. And we make sure you're so protected that Derek can't get within a mile of you." I want to do more than just hide behind security, Imani continued. I want to take back control. I want to speak to a therapist about trauma recovery. I want to help other women who are going through what I went through. And I want to move forward with our wedding and Amara's adoption without letting fear dictate our timeline. Amara looked up from her cereal. Does this mean Derek can't scare us anymore? It means we're not going to let him scare us anymore, Imani corrected gently. He might try, but we're stronger than his attempts to frighten us. We have each other, and that makes us powerful. True to her word, Imani began therapy that week. She found an excellent counselor who specialized in trauma from stalking and domestic situations. The sessions were hard, bringing up painful memories and forcing Imani to confront feelings she had been trying to suppress. But slowly she began to heal in deeper ways. Logan attended some sessions with her, learning how to better support her through triggers and difficult moments. He learned that his instinct to solve every problem sometimes made Imani feel less capable, that what she needed was his presence and support, not his solutions. I'm not a damsel in distress, Imani explained after one particularly emotional session. I know you see me that way sometimes as someone who needs constant rescue. But I'm a survivor. I got through months of Derek's harassment before I ever met you. I raised Amara alone. I built a career. I'm strong, Logan. I need you to see that strength, not just my vulnerability. You're right, Logan admitted. I do have a tendency to jump in and try to fix everything. I'm working on it. On trusting that you can handle things while still being there to support you. Their relationship deepened through these honest conversations. They learned each other's triggers and patterns. They learned how to fight productively when they disagreed. They learned that love wasn't just the happy moments but also the hard work of understanding and adapting to each other's needs. Amara, meanwhile, was thriving. Her adoption paperwork was moving forward smoothly. The social worker assigned to their case was impressed by the family dynamic, noting in her report that Amara had clearly bonded with Logan and that the adoption would formalize a relationship that already existed in every meaningful way. One evening, the social worker, a kind woman named Teresa Johnson, sat down with all three of them for a final interview before submitting her recommendation to the court. Amara, Teresa said, I want to ask you some questions about Logan becoming your dad. Is that okay? Amara nodded seriously. Do you want Logan to adopt you? Yes, Amara said firmly. Very much. Can you tell me why? Amara thought for a moment. Because he loves me. He helps me with homework and listens to me talk about things even when they're boring. He makes my mom happy and doesn't yell at her. He makes me feel safe. And he chose to be my dad, which I think is better than just being stuck with me because we're related. Teresa smiled. That's a very mature answer. Has Logan ever made you uncomfortable or scared? Never, Amara said. The only person who ever made me scared was Derek, and Logan helped protect us from him. And Imani, Teresa turned to her, you're confident that this adoption is in Amara's best interest? Completely confident, Imani replied. Logan has been more of a father to Amara in these months than her biological father ever was. He's consistent, loving, present. He puts her needs first. I couldn't ask for a better father for my daughter. Teresa made notes, then turned to Logan. And you understand the permanence of adoption? That even if your relationship with Imani were to end, your legal and moral obligation to Amara would continue. I understand completely, Logan said. And I want that. I want Amara to know that my commitment to her isn't conditional on my relationship with her mother. She's my daughter in every way that matters, and I want it to be legally recognized so she never has to doubt that. Then I'm happy to recommend that this adoption proceed, Teresa said. Your family hearing is scheduled for next month. Barring any unexpected issues, Amara will officially become Amara Bennett. After Teresa left, they celebrated with ice cream and a movie. Amara sat between her mother and Logan, looking more content than she had in years. As the movie played, she fell asleep with her head on Logan's shoulder, and Imani took his hand, their wedding rings now matching, catching the light from the television. This is everything I ever wanted, Imani whispered. A safe home, a happy daughter, a partner who truly loves us. I used to think happiness like this was only in movies. It's real, Logan whispered back. And it's ours. The wedding planning continued alongside the adoption proceedings. True to Imani's preferences, they kept it small and meaningful. The venue was the same private park where Logan had proposed, decorated simply with white flowers and paper lanterns. The guest list was limited to close family and friends, about 40 people total. Logan's parents flew in and immediately fell in love with Imani and Amara. His mother cried when she met them, hugging Imani tightly and telling her how happy she was that Logan had finally found his family. Imani's mother and sister were equally emotional, thrilled to see Imani happy and in love with a man who clearly cherished her and Amara. They helped with wedding preparations, working alongside Logan's mother to create something beautiful without being extravagant. 2 weeks before the wedding, Derek's sentencing hearing took place. His violation of the restraining order, combined with his failure to make progress in therapy and his continued obsessive behavior, resulted in a harsh sentence. 3 years in prison with no possibility of early release, followed by 5 years of strict probation with electronic monitoring. "It's over," the prosecutor told Imani and Logan after the hearing. "By the time he's released and finishes probation, Amara will be a teenager. You'll have built a whole life he has no part of. And if he violates probation again, he'll serve even more time." The judge made it very clear that the court has run out of patience with Mr. Turner. Imani nodded, relief washing over her. "Thank you for fighting for us." That night, she and Logan talked about what the sentencing meant. 8 years, Imani said in wonder. 8 years where we don't have to look over our shoulders. 8 years to build our life exactly how we want it, Logan added. To raise Amara, to grow our family, if you want more children, to just be happy. "Do you want more children?" Imani asked, the question catching Logan slightly off guard. "I do," he admitted. "If you do. But I'm also perfectly happy with just Amara. She's enough for me." "I think I might want another baby," Imani said softly. "Not right away. But in a year or two, once we're settled as a married family. I'd like Amara to have a sibling. And I'd like to experience pregnancy and early motherhood with a supportive partner beside me, something I didn't have with Amara." Logan pulled her close. "Then we'll have another baby. As many as you want. I'm all in for this life we're building." The adoption hearing came first, 1 week before the wedding. They all dressed up and went to family court, where a kindly judge reviewed Teresa's glowing recommendation and the paperwork showing Logan's commitment to Amara. "Amara," the judge said, "do you understand what adoption means? That Logan will legally be your father forever." "Yes, Your Honor," Amara said clearly. "It means I get to be Amara Bennett and Logan gets to be my real dad." "And that's what you want?" "More than anything." The judge smiled. "Then by the power vested in me by this state, I hereby approve this adoption. Logan Bennett, you are now legally recognized as the father of Amara Bennett. Congratulations to your family." The courtroom, filled with their closest family members, erupted in applause and happy tears. Amara threw her arms around Logan, who held her tight, his own eyes wet. "I'm your dad now," he said. "Really and truly your dad." "You've been my dad for a long time," Amara said. "Now it's just official." That night, they celebrated with a special family dinner at Amara's favorite restaurant. She wore her new birth certificate like a badge of honor, showing it to the waitress and anyone else who would look. "See, my name is Amara Bennett now. That's my dad, Logan Bennett." Logan found himself overwhelmed by emotion throughout the evening. This little girl who had run up to him months ago asking for help was now legally his daughter. He had responsibilities, yes, but also privileges. School conferences, medical decisions, being listed as her parent on all official documents. He was her father. Not just in his heart but in the eyes of the law and society. As the wedding approached, Logan reflected on how much his life had changed. A year ago, he had been a successful but lonely man, going through the motions of a life that looked impressive on paper but felt empty. Now he was about to marry the woman he loved and was already father to an incredible daughter. His definition of success had completely transformed. The night before the wedding, Logan stayed at his old house, following the tradition of not seeing the bride before the ceremony. His father came over to keep him company, bringing a bottle of good whiskey. "You're making the right choice," his father said, pouring them both a drink. "Imani is a special woman and Amara is a wonderful girl. You're getting a ready-made family and that's a gift." "I know," Logan said. "I'm the luckiest man alive. Just remember, marriage takes work. It's not always going to be this easy. You'll disagree. You'll frustrate each other. You'll have hard times. But if you remember why you're doing this, if you remember how much you love them, you'll get through anything." Logan raised his glass. To family. To love. To choosing happiness every single day. They drank and Logan felt ready. Ready to stand up tomorrow and promise forever to Imani. Ready to build a life as husband, wife, and daughter. Ready for whatever came next, confident that together they could handle anything. The wedding day dawned clear and beautiful, with a gentle breeze and sunshine that seemed designed specifically for their celebration. Logan stood at the altar in the private park, his heart racing with anticipation. His parents stood nearby, beaming with pride. Friends and family filled the small seating area, all dressed in bright, cheerful colors that matched the joyful atmosphere. Then the music started, and Amara appeared first, walking carefully down the aisle in her role as flower girl. She wore a beautiful blue dress and carried a small basket of rose petals, which she scattered with great seriousness and precision. When she reached Logan, she looked up at him and whispered loudly enough for the front rows to hear, "Don't be nervous, Dad. Mom loves you." Logan laughed, his nerves melting away. "Thanks, sweetheart." Then Imani appeared and Logan's breath caught. She wore a simple but elegant dress in a soft ivory color, her natural hair styled beautifully with small flowers woven through it. She carried a bouquet of wildflowers and wore the biggest smile Logan had ever seen. She was walked down the aisle by her mother, who kissed her cheek before placing Imani's hand in Logan's. The ceremony was brief and meaningful. They had written their own vows, wanting to speak directly to each other about what this commitment meant. Logan went first. "Imani, when your daughter ran into my office building asking for help, I had no idea she was about to change my entire life. You could have walked away after Derek was arrested. You could have thanked me and moved on with your lives. But instead you let me in. You trusted me with your heart and with Amara's future. You showed me what real strength looks like, what real love feels like. Today I promise to be worthy of that trust. I promise to stand beside you in every challenge, to celebrate every joy, to be the partner and father our family deserves. I choose you today, and I'll choose you every day for the rest of my life." Imani's eyes glistened with tears as she began her vows. "Logan, I came into your world broken and afraid, trying to protect my daughter from someone who wouldn't let us go. You gave us safety, yes, but you gave us so much more. You gave us hope. You showed us that not all men are like Derek, that some people genuinely want to help without expecting anything in return. You loved us when we felt unlovable. You stood with us when we were at our lowest. Today I'm not that scared woman anymore. I'm strong, I'm happy, and I'm ready to build a beautiful life with you. I promise to be your partner in all things. I promise to love you through easy times and hard times. I promise to never let fear stop us from living fully. I choose you, Logan Bennett, today and always." There wasn't a dry eye in the audience as the officiant pronounced them husband and wife. Logan pulled Imani close and kissed her to enthusiastic applause and Amara's delighted squealing. The reception was held right there in the park, with long tables set up under a large tent. The food was simple but delicious, the music was lively, and the atmosphere was pure joy. Amara danced with everyone, her happiness infectious. Logan's parents danced together, still clearly in love after 40 years of marriage. Imani's family members told embarrassing stories about her childhood, making everyone laugh. During the toasts, Amara insisted on having her turn. Standing on a chair so everyone could see her, she raised her glass of sparkling cider. "I want to say thank you to Dad, for being the best dad ever. And thank you to my mom for being brave enough to ask for help when we needed it. And thank you to everyone here for loving our family. We're the Bennett family now, and that's the best thing ever." The guests cheered and Logan lifted Amara down from the chair, hugging her tight. "You're the best thing ever, kiddo." As the evening wore on and the sun began to set, Logan and Imani snuck away for a few moments alone. They walked to the edge of the park, looking out at the city lights beginning to twinkle in the distance. "How are you feeling, Mrs. Bennett?" Logan asked, wrapping his arm around his wife's waist. "Like I'm living in a dream," Imani admitted. "A year ago I was so scared and alone. Now I'm married to an incredible man who loves me and my daughter. How did we get so lucky? Amara was brave enough to ask for help. You were strong enough to accept it. And I was smart enough to recognize something precious when it walked into my life." Logan kissed her temple. "This is just the beginning, you know. We have our whole lives ahead of us." "I can't wait," Imani said, leaning into him. "For all of it. The boring everyday moments, the challenges, the adventures. I want to experience it all with you." They stood there for a while, wrapped in each other's arms, watching the sunset paint the sky in brilliant colors. Then Amara came running over, followed by both sets of grandparents. "You can't disappear at your own wedding," Amara scolded. "Come on, they're about to cut the cake." Hand in hand, the three of them walked back to their celebration. Logan looked at his wife and daughter, at the family and friends gathered to celebrate their union, and felt complete. This was everything. This was enough. This was home. The weeks following the wedding settled into a beautiful new rhythm. Imani returned to work at City General, now juggling her nursing career with being a newlywed. Logan continued running his company but with better boundaries, making sure to be home for family dinners and Amara's school events. Amara thrived in her school, bringing home excellent grades and new friends almost weekly. They sold Logan's old house and Imani's remaining belongings from storage, moving everything into a larger apartment that could comfortably hold their growing family. It had 3 bedrooms, a real home office for Logan, and a balcony where they could sit together in the evenings watching the city lights. One evening about 6 months after the wedding, Imani came home from work with a thoughtful expression. Logan was helping Amara with a school project at the dining table, something involving a poster board and far too much glitter. "I have news," Imani announced, and something in her tone made both Logan and Amara look up. "Good news or bad news?" Amara asked. "Good news. Very good news." Imani pulled a small wrapped box from her bag and handed it to Logan. "Early anniversary present." Logan opened the box, confused about what anniversary she could be celebrating. Inside was a positive pregnancy test. "We're having a baby?" Logan breathed, looking up at Imani with wonder. "We're having a baby," Imani confirmed, her smile radiant. "Due in about 7 months if the doctor's calculations are correct." Amara squealed and jumped up to hug her mother. "I'm going to be a big sister. This is the best day ever." Logan stood and pulled both of them into his arms. "A baby. We're having a baby. Are you happy?" Imani asked, suddenly looking vulnerable. "I know we talked about waiting another year, but it happened and I'm so happy, but if you're not ready." Logan silenced her with a kiss. "I'm beyond happy. I'm ecstatic. Another child to love, another person to join our family. It's perfect." That night, after Amara had finally calmed down enough to go to sleep, Logan and Imani lay in bed talking about the future. Names they liked, how they would arrange the bedrooms, how Amara would adjust to having a sibling after being an only child for so long. "I'm a little scared," Imani admitted. "Last time I was pregnant, I was alone. My ex had already left. I was terrified of what would happen, how I would manage. This feels completely different, but that fear is still there." "You're not alone this time," Logan promised. "I'll be at every appointment. I'll hold your hand through every contraction. I'll change every diaper and walk the floor at 3 in the morning when the baby won't sleep. We're a team now. We do this together." "I know," Imani said. "And that makes all the difference." The pregnancy progressed smoothly. Logan attended every appointment, watching the ultrasound images with awe, listening to the baby's heartbeat with tears in his eyes. They decided not to find out the gender, wanting it to be a surprise. Amara was involved in everything, helping paint the nursery in neutral yellows and greens, picking out baby clothes, reading books about being a big sister. Imani took maternity leave from the hospital starting at 7 months, using the time to prepare and rest. Logan worked from home more often, wanting to be close in case she needed anything. Friends and family threw them a baby shower, showering them with gifts and advice. One evening in the nursery, Logan was assembling a crib while Imani folded tiny baby clothes. The room was warm and peaceful, lit by a soft lamp in the corner. "Can you believe this is our life now?" Imani asked, running her hand over a small onesie. "A year and a half ago we were strangers. Now we're married with 1 daughter and another baby on the way. Best year and a half of my life," Logan said, tightening a bolt on the crib. "No contest. Mine too." Imani placed her hand on her growing belly. "This baby is so lucky. Coming into a home full of love, with a sister who already adores them and a father who will be amazing. They'll never know what it's like to feel unwanted or unsafe." "Neither will Amara," Logan added. "Not anymore. That life is behind all of you. This is your life now, your family. Safety, love, happiness. That's what I promise to provide for all of you, every single day." Amara appeared in the doorway, rubbing sleepy eyes. "Can I sleep in here tonight? I want to be close to the baby." "The baby isn't here yet, sweetheart," Imani said gently. "I know, but I want to practice being a big sister. Please?" Logan and Imani exchanged amused looks. "Get your sleeping bag," Logan said. "You can camp out in here tonight." Amara ran off to get her things and Logan went back to assembling the crib. As he worked, he thought about how far they had all come. From that terrifying day when a little girl asked for his help to this peaceful evening preparing for a new baby. From fear and uncertainty to safety and love. Life had given him everything he never knew he needed. A wife who challenged and supported him. A daughter who had chosen him to be her father. And soon, another child to add to their family. He had built a successful company and accumulated wealth, yes, but this was his real success. This family, this home, this love. As Amara returned with her sleeping bag and curled up on the nursery floor talking to her future sibling through Imani's belly, Logan knew with absolute certainty that he was exactly where he was meant to be. The baby arrived on a crisp autumn morning, 3 days past the due date. Imani woke Logan at 5 in the morning, calm despite her contractions. "It's time," she said simply. They had practiced this. Logan called Imani's mother to come stay with Amara, grabbed the hospital bag they had packed weeks ago, and helped Imani to the car. She was remarkably composed, breathing through contractions while Logan tried to remember everything from the childbirth classes. "You're doing great," he kept saying, holding her hand. "I've done this before," Imani reminded him with a smile. "You're the one who looks like you might pass out." "I'm fine," Logan said, though his knuckles were white on the steering wheel. At the hospital, Imani's colleagues rallied around her. She was one of their own, and they made sure she had the best care possible. Logan stayed by her side through the long hours of labor, wiping her forehead, helping her breathe, telling her how strong and amazing she was. Amara arrived with her grandmother in the early afternoon, bouncing with excitement. She was allowed in the room briefly to see her mother and encourage her. "You can do it, Mum," Amara said, kissing Imani's cheek. "You're the strongest person I know." Finally, after 12 hours of labor, their son was born. Gabriel Bennett came into the world with a healthy cry, weighing 7 pounds and 6 ounces. Logan cut the cord with shaking hands, tears streaming down his face as he looked at his son for the first time. "He's perfect," Logan whispered, watching the nurses clean and wrap the baby. "Absolutely perfect." When they placed Gabriel in Imani's arms, she laughed and cried at the same time. "Hello, sweet boy. Welcome to the family." Amara was brought in to meet her brother, and the look of wonder on her face was something Logan would never forget. She gently touched Gabriel's tiny hand, and he immediately gripped her finger. "He's holding my hand," Amara said in awe. "He already loves me." "Of course he does," Logan said, taking a photo of the moment. "You're his big sister." That first night, Logan stayed at the hospital with Imani and Gabriel. He held his son while Imani slept, marveling at the tiny features, the perfect fingers and toes, the way Gabriel would make small noises in his sleep. Logan had loved Amara from almost the moment he met her, but this was different. This was a child he had helped create, had felt kick through Imani's belly, had anticipated for months. "You're my son," Logan whispered to the sleeping baby. "My biological son. And that's amazing. But you know what? Your sister is just as much mine even though we don't share DNA. Family isn't about blood. It's about choice and commitment and love. And I choose both of you. I choose this family every single day." They brought Gabriel home 2 days later to an apartment decorated with welcome home signs Amara had made. She helped set up the bassinet in their bedroom, organized the diapers and baby supplies, and insisted on being taught how to properly hold her brother. "Support his head, that's right," Imani instructed as Amara carefully held Gabriel. "You're a natural big sister." The first few weeks were exhausting and beautiful. Gabriel was a good baby, relatively speaking, but any newborn requires constant attention. Logan and Imani traded off night feedings, both walking the floor in the early morning hours when Gabriel fussed. Amara helped when she could, bringing diapers or entertaining her brother with silly faces. Logan had arranged for paternity leave from his company, something his employees fully supported. He spent 6 weeks home with his new family, learning the rhythms of parenthood with an infant. Changing diapers, giving bottles when Imani pumped, swaddling, soothing. All the small tasks that added up to caring for a tiny human. One night, when Gabriel was about 3 weeks old, Logan found himself alone with both children. Imani had gone out with her sister for a much-needed evening away. Amara was supposed to be doing homework, but she kept wandering over to look at her sleeping brother. "Dad," she said thoughtfully, "do you love Gabriel more than me because he's really yours?" Logan's heart clenched. He set down the bottle he was preparing and knelt beside Amara. "Listen to me very carefully. You are really mine. Just as much as Gabriel is. The way you joined our family is different, but the end result is exactly the same. You're my daughter. Legally, emotionally, in every way that matters. And I love you both equally, just differently. I love Gabriel as a newborn who needs constant care. I love you as an amazing 8-year-old who makes me laugh and proud every single day. Neither love is bigger or more important. They're just different kinds of love for different people." "Promise?" Amara asked, her eyes searching his face. "I promise. You want to know something? When the social worker asked me if I understood that adopting you meant being your father forever, even if things didn't work out with your mom, I said yes immediately. Because I had already decided you were mine. That was before Gabriel was even conceived. You became my daughter first, and nothing will ever change that." Amara hugged him tightly. "I love you, Dad. I love you too, sweetheart. Always." As the months passed, they settled into family life. Gabriel grew and changed, hitting milestones that they celebrated together. Amara excelled in school and developed a protective nature toward her brother that was adorable to watch. Imani returned to work part-time at first, then full-time once they found excellent childcare. Logan juggled work and family with increasing skill, learning that he could be a successful businessman and a present father at the same time. His employees appreciated his new perspective, and several told him they felt inspired to prioritize their own families more after seeing his example. One Saturday afternoon, about 6 months after Gabriel's birth, the whole family was in the park. The same park where Logan had proposed, where they had been married. Amara was pushing Gabriel in his stroller while Imani and Logan walked hand in hand behind them. "You know what occurred to me today?" Imani said. "It's been almost 2 years since Amara walked into your building asking for help." Logan calculated in his head. "You're right. 2 years this month. 2 years and our entire lives have changed. We went from strangers to a family of 4. It's incredible when you think about it." "It's the best thing that ever happened to me," Logan said simply. "That day changed everything. I could have sent Amara away, could have just called child services and moved on with my day. But something made me listen to her. Made me believe her. And that choice led to all of this." They found a bench and sat while Amara played nearby, close enough that they could watch her but far enough that she had some independence. Gabriel had fallen asleep in his stroller, peaceful in the afternoon sun. "Do you ever think about Derek?" Logan asked carefully. "Sometimes," Imani admitted. "Not with fear anymore, just with a kind of detached curiosity about where his life went. He has 5 more years of prison and probation. By the time he's truly free, Amara will be in high school. Gabriel will be starting elementary school. We'll be a completely different family than the one Derek knew." "And you're okay? Really okay?" "I'm better than okay. I'm happy, Logan. Genuinely, deeply happy. I have a career I love, a family I adore, a home that feels safe and warm. What Derek did to us was terrible, but it also led me to you. I don't know if I would have met you otherwise. We moved in completely different social circles. So in a twisted way, that nightmare brought us together. I prefer to think that Amara's bravery brought us together," Logan said. "She's the real hero of this story." They sat in comfortable silence, watching Amara play and Gabriel sleep and the world go by. Normal family moment, the kind Logan had never thought he would have. That evening, back at home, Logan sat in the nursery with Gabriel, giving him a bottle before bed. Imani was helping Amara with a school project in the other room. The apartment was filled with the sounds of family life. Voices talking, occasional laughter, the comfortable noise of people living together. Looking down at his son, Logan felt overwhelmed with gratitude. For Imani, who had trusted him enough to let him into her heart. For Amara, who had been brave enough to ask a stranger for help. For Gabriel, who had completed their family in a way Logan hadn't even known they needed. And for himself, for having the wisdom to say yes when life offered him something precious. His phone buzzed with a message from Patricia, his security director. She still checked in periodically, though her services were rarely needed these days. The message was brief. "Derek Turner officially in year 3 of sentence. No issues. Family remains secure." Logan deleted the message. They didn't need those updates anymore. Derek was part of their past, not their present or future. What mattered was the life they were building, the love they shared, the family they had become. "What are you thinking about?" Imani asked, coming into the nursery. "Just how lucky I am," Logan said. "How all of us are lucky." Imani sat beside him, watching Gabriel finish his bottle. "Should we start thinking about moving? Maybe a house with a yard? More space for the kids as they grow." "I've actually been looking at some properties," Logan admitted. "Nothing too big or fancy, but yes, a house. Somewhere Amara and Gabriel can run around. Maybe room for another child if we decide we want one more." "Another child?" Imani raised an eyebrow. "You want 3 kids?" "I want whatever makes our family happy. If that's 2 kids, perfect. If it's 3, that's perfect too. I'm just along for this ride, following your lead." Imani laughed. "Let's get Gabriel sleeping through the night before we discuss baby number 3. They put Gabriel in his crib and stood watching him sleep, their arms around each other. In the other room, Amara called out asking for help with her project. Real life calling, demanding their attention, pulling them back into the beautiful chaos of raising a family. This was it, Logan realized. This was the life he had been working toward without knowing it. Not the money or the success or the admiration of the business world. A wife he loved. Children who called him dad. A home filled with laughter and love and the occasional mess. As they walked out of the nursery toward where Amara waited, Logan knew with absolute certainty that he was home. Not the building or the city, but this feeling. The sense of belonging, of being exactly where he was meant to be, with exactly the people he was meant to be with. 2 years ago, a scared little girl had asked for his help, and by helping her, he had saved himself. From a life that looked successful but felt empty. From loneliness he hadn't even acknowledged. From missing out on the most important adventure of all, family. "Dad, are you coming?" Amara called impatiently. "Coming, sweetheart," Logan called back, squeezing Imani's hand. They walked together toward their daughter, toward the evening routine of homework and dinner and bedtime stories. Toward the ordinary, extraordinary life they had built together. Home at last. Final celebration moment. 6 months later, the Bennett family stood in the driveway of their new house. Not a mansion, but a comfortable 4-bedroom home with a yard and a swing set Logan had assembled with Amara's help. They had officially moved in that morning, and boxes were still scattered throughout the rooms. "Group photo," Imani insisted, setting up her phone on a tripod. They gathered on the front steps. Logan holding Gabriel, now walking and getting into everything. Amara standing proud in her new school uniform, ready to start 3rd grade. Imani beside them, one hand on her slightly rounded belly, another secret they were waiting to share with extended family. The camera clicked, capturing them all smiling, looking at each other rather than the lens, a candid moment of pure happiness. This was the Bennett family. Built from crisis and courage, from kindness and hope, from the simple act of a child asking for help and an adult choosing to say yes. This was home. This was love. This was everything.